If you've been actively in the pen-sitting community for a while, you've probably seen people say MITS and MIS, and maybe even WIS and MES. What are these? These are actually acronyms for tricks. MITS, M-I-T-S, first introduced by 9, stands for Moonwalk Inverse Twisted Sonic. If you're watching this, chances are you probably know what Twisted Sonic is, but you might not know that Twisted is not a modifier, and Twisted Sonic is a separate trick entirely. It just happens to have Sonic in the name, but these two tricks have nothing in common. When making the Twisted Sonic inverse, it flips along the vertical plane parallel to the hand, which looks like this. The Moonwalk modifier makes the trick start and end with the normally opposite slots. Moonwalk itself is an arbitrary modifier because you can specify the slots just by writing the slots. The direction is determined by charge rotation for the most part, and the normal slot hierarchy is rising with the normal direction. This means if a normal inverse Twisted Sonic starts in 2-3 and ends in 1-2, the Moonwalk version would start in 1-2 and end in 2-3, but everything else about the trick is the same. Other ways of notating this trick is inverse Twisted Sonic with slots notated inverse warped Sonic, charge normal hybrid to pass reverse hybrid to charge normal, and probably a few others. Next is MIS, M-I-S-S, first introduced by Isaac, stands for Moonwalk Inverse Side Sonic. The base trick is the Sonic, which looks like this. The first modifier is side, which makes the intermediate finger switch in to out. Inverse makes the in-out motion become an out-in one. Then Moonwalk flips the order of the slots, which again is not necessary when notating slots. The normal direction of the inverse side Sonic in this case is rising finger slots in the normal direction. A Moonwalk inverse side Sonic would be a falling order of slots in the normal charge direction. The key to this one and the last one is using only finger motion. There should be little to no hand motion, it's all in the fingers. I recently found out how I actually learned this trick when looking at old videos. I had no idea that MIS was a thing, and on March 3rd, 2022, I was playing around with adding modifiers when I added the exact modifiers together that made up MIS. Now onto the newer and less common acronyms, MES and WIS, which I may be partially to blame for their popularity. MWE stands for Moonwalk E-Sonic. Similar to Twisted Sonic, E-Sonic is an entirely different trick not related to Sonic, and it is actually a type of pass. The Moonwalk modifier, again, is not needed as we can just write the slots, but flipping the order of the slots makes the E-Sonic turn into this. I actually came up with this one on my own, so I'm not sure where it first originated, but I'm sure other people have done it before me. It's a fairly common trick now. MWS stands for Moonwalk West Sonic. Again, West Sonic is not related to Sonic and is actually a type of pass. Also, West Sonic is actually inverse East Sonic, and East Sonic is inverse West Sonic. The Moonwalk modifier is not necessary, but it makes the trick turn into this. The motion is similar to Moonwalk Inverse Twisted Sonic, but just add another finger on the end. Now hopefully you've learned what MITS, MIS, MWIS, and MES really mean. Just as a further note, I strongly discourage the use of these acronyms as they do not describe anything about the trick. So for slots 1, 2, 3, it's best to say Inverse Twisted Sonic 1, 2 to 2, 3 for MITS, Inverse Side Sonic 1, 2 to 2, 3 for MIS, E-Sonic 1, 2 to 3, 4 for MES, and West Sonic 1, 2 to 3, 4 for MWIS. This video was just meant to help people understand what they mean when they come across it. If you like this kind of video, let me know and feel free to check out my other videos too. Thanks for watching. See you next time.